Welcome back. So let us look at this slide called the spectrum of communication. So on one side, we have the subtlest form of communication that requires you to be super refined. And on the other side, we have the grossest form of communication, which is based on our fact that we also have animal nature within us. So since all of us here in the context of Let's 1000x Heartfulness are heartfulness practitioners, many times our beloved Daji has given us so many techniques, that how you can pray silently, and how in the womb of deep silence and absorption, when you leave a small intention, just a faint intention, to help someone or to pray for change for someone or anything which you feel inspired about, which can be good for this world, which can be, which can have an impact. That's the way you pray. When you're in your deepest absorption, in your deepest approach, you just leave a slight hint, suggestion there, and that's it. And then just accept whatever the great masters have to do with it. They will do. Your business is done. Now that's also a form of communication. You're communicating with the divine, seeking its help for seeking its help for a very nice purpose, whatever that purpose could be, whatever could be your goodness purpose, whatever change you want, maybe in yourself, maybe in somebody else, maybe requesting help for someone in some way. That is also communication. Daji has also talked about, that how you can just think of someone and give a lot of love to that person, and there's so many techniques, where you can kind of if someone is not happy with you, or there's some conflict, then how you can remove the negativity and breathe back the positivity. All these things are there, and some of you who are who can compile everything that Daji has talked about these things and put it and share it with all of us under the video, then maybe we can make one video just on that, Daji suggestions, something like that as understood by the volunteers, and we can share it with everyone. So maybe some of you can do that. So that is the finest form of communication. It is the most effective. It is permanent, but it can be long-term in nature. Cannot be perceived by most people. The changes that come, people will not be able to attribute that because of this communication that you had with the divine aspect, this change is happening. It's not perceived. It is done in silence. And it is good that way. As Daji has explained, if you try to tom-tom about it, I did that, or you declare that I'm going to do this, there's something that not right about this, and it doesn't work. So it has to be done in absolute anonymity and secrecy, and no one will come to know. Perhaps you will also forget that you did one day, and maybe if you see the effect of it one day, you'll remember, I had done something like this, and you just smile to your own self and keep quiet about it. This is really the best way to trigger inner changes. Some amount of talking helps outside, but the kind of help that and subtle, refined way of communicating like this, praying like this in silence can do, it's immense. It's unmeasurable, unparalleled. After this, I like to talk about the principles of conversation by Sri Ramchandra Ji Maharaj of Fatehgarh, UP, our beloved Lala Ji Maharaj, whose principles we call as Lalaji's principles of conversation. The more I think about this, and one of our principles, maxims, maxim number 9, live your life to arouse love and piety in others. That is so beautiful. Perhaps in my understanding is that this type of conversation, these principles of conversation will perhaps help fulfill that maxim. I was watching some of the Daji's videos on conversations, and it's very clear that Babuji wanted our abhyasis to be known from a distance. That from a distance somebody should be able to recognize that so and so is a practitioner of Sahaj Marg, heartfulness. They should be able to recognize that person. And when we practice these principles of conversation as given by Lalaji, this will surely happen. We will be going into details of Lalaji's principles and some more aspects of heartful communication, step by step in the following weeks and days to come. This is just a summary. The purpose of this slide is to understand the spectrum of communication, and that what type of communication you should use when. In Just to give a brief idea, the Lalaji talks about the original state of reality, the mapping your conversation, your speech, your state of speech to the original condition or the original flow, so that there is uniformity with it. And when you have when what you are saying is at uniformity with that, then the person who's listening to you also tends to, you know, come to that sort of a level. This is my understanding, and it's best you read and you understand. I do not really want to get into explaining this great thing. I'm a very small man, but it is just my duty here to put it in the right perspective, that so that gives all of us an opportunity here to understand that how Lalaji's conversation, principles of conversation, in what context it can be best used. If you really want to have a lasting impact on a person, if you want someone to think deeply, so trigger some inner reflection in that person, if you want to ensure that your words leave a very deep impact on his heart, then Lalaji's principles of conversation are unparalleled, and it's so critical to spread heartfulness. And if you have to spread heartfulness, you have to talk to people. And if you want the magic of heartfulness to flow through our words, then this is indispensable. And let's try to practice it. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you, that we need to practice this principle, especially in the context of how we talk in the mission, how we talk to the functionaries, how as functionaries we talk to each other, how as volunteers we talk to each other. Because my understanding of this is that somewhere when you are following this principle, only that comes out which is necessary. And somehow that speech becomes in his control, and we talk with a very polished tongue. Necessary words come out. And that is so nice. We can be helpful to people, not hurt people intentionally or unintentionally, and avoid being misunderstood. So it's great. Let's try this, and let us understand that this, if you want to arouse love and piety in others, then Lalaji's principles of conversation are absolutely critical and so very important. The third, now we come to the green zone. The blue zone is more like the subtle nature of human being. Perhaps in Sahaj Mark, they say that it's an evolution from animal man to a human man to a divine man. So animal qualities to human qualities to divine qualities. So we have finished the divine spectrum of things, where we become very subtle, and we try to bring in the divine qualities into our communication. Now we come to the human aspects. There is a very nice book, very nice approach, and a book written by Marshall Rosenberg on the principles of non-violent communication. And Daji's really appreciates that work. And he talks about that how our meditative state that we acquire by the AEIOU technique. First, you acquire it through meditation, and you retain it, and you make it grow through AEIOU technique. That how that becomes the foundation for non-violent communication. When you're in that state, the non-violent communication becomes so very natural. So non-violent communication, again, we will be going into detail. Some of our mission members are working very closely with certain trainers who are trained in non-violent communication. I am not. I am only presenting the idea, and they are trying to create a very nice program going forward. Some months ahead, it will come possibly, where all of us can go deep dive into non-violent communication, or heartful communication with the base of non-violent communication, and train ourselves to become perhaps carrier of this knowledge. But right now, it is best that we pick up some of the principles and practice ourselves. And in the coming Fridays, we will be sharing some more insights into non-violent communication as practiced by our mission volunteers. So just a brief idea, non-violent communication involves very deep listening. It involves very deep connection and trying to feel what the person is trying to say. and to go beyond his words. You go very deep, you empathize very deeply with him, where he may be saying something. He may be saying something which is maybe hurtful in terms of the words. For example, he may be calling you stupid, you know, but perhaps he is trying to tell you that, why are you not appreciating my creative talent? Why are you not appreciating my intelligence? I have done some such good work and you're not able to understand it. That is what he's trying to tell you, but he's calling you stupid. His expression, outer expression, choice of words is not correct. Somehow, if we can have adequate love, care, and empathy in ourselves, and if we have through our meditation the enough mental control, or the mental, the ability to pause. He's called me stupid, I want to give back. But if I can hold back for the few minutes and try to, let the love flow, understand what this person is really needing and respond to his need, rather than reacting to the word, then, we can get into a zone, what is known as a non-violent communication. My understanding of the subject is itself not very deep. I am as much a learner as you, as all of us here. And I am also going to learn a lot from what is going to be shared with us. And I will be also sharing some good videos on YouTube, which is there on nonviolent communication. And let us all learn together. I am far from an expert. I also react. There's nothing wrong in admitting that. I also want to be more and more refined in this area of nonviolent communication. Let's take this journey forward together. And perhaps we can call this the human way to talk, the human to human kind of thing. That was divine. This is human to human. And now let us now move more towards the practical and grosser areas. So let's take the extreme side, the red part, the grossest. The grossest forms of communication we have nothing to do with. As Master said that Babuji says in the maxims that anything which is been done unintentionally, we have maxim number 10 to our rescue and our effort, and we can really put it, as per the maxim, meekly to the master, resolve not to do it again, and free ourselves of any mistake that has happened unintentionally. Then Daji said, why is the word unintentional been put? He said it's been put because Babuji didn't expect us to do intentional things. So this grossest forms of communication, which is more about our animal nature, let us avoid it completely in the no zone, using threat, using coercion, firing the basest animal instincts in us. Somebody's weakness is there and you fire that weakness to get some job done. It's just not done. It's not just, something I can't understand at all. And we should not be judgmental, but I think as spiritual seekers, as heartfulness abhyasis, we have nothing to do with these areas in red. Those who believe in them, God bless them, and that's it. That's the end of the matter for us. Now we come to this zone, the black zone, which can be useful or exploitative based on the intentions. So this is very interesting. There are many systems of communication, framework, certain techniques, certain tricks. If you use them with the right intention, remember the earlier video where we talked about intention. If your intention is pure, then these things are fine, because you're trying to do something which is a win-win, which is useful to him, useful to you, useful to everybody concerned. And you're just facilitating the process and using these frameworks and techniques. But the problem is if you are going to exploit people, again, then it is the red zone. You are trying to use psychology, human frailness, human predictability to, get things done which should not be done, which are, not win-win, which is exploitative in nature. So this is a tricky area, difficult to segregate it. The blue is very easy to segregate. The green is easy to segregate. The red is easy to segregate. It's complete no. But the black is really depending on your intention. So there are some systems like the 25 cognitive biases. I would like to call out here and give credit to the book Influence by Robert Cialdini. I think it's called the name of the complete book is Persuasion. I don't recollect the entire name of the entire book, but the title is Influence. I think it is called The Psychology of Human Persuasion. I think it is that way. Please excuse me. I should have known this, but it's okay. Let's move ahead. But it's, and in that he talks about 25 cognitive biases that, a person is affected by. in the sense that if you trigger that, it's a predictable human trait. For example, if you advertise the word free, then most people will have a look what is being given free. There's something in our mind, in our psyche, that responds to that word free, and we tend to see what is there inside. So like that, there are many biases. You can read that book. It's a good book. There's also YouTube content available. You can watch that. Perhaps we will also put it in the group for our general education and knowledge. Okay. Then there is this PAEI system by Dr. Aichak Adizes, who's also a trainer of Sahaj Marg, of Heartfulness. It's again a very beautiful framework. Adizes methodology, giving credit to Adizes methodology and Dr. Aichak Adizes for this. So PAEI framework is a framework which categorizes people or their behavior or their style or their personality into four major buckets, the P, the A, the E, the I. The P is more of the production kind of a person, the producer kind of a person who believes in getting things done. Somehow doesn't care too much for this, that. It's on his table, he will get it done, and he likes to do it himself. The A kind of a person is an administrative guy who will go by the book, who will go by the rules. He will follow things as per the rules, and he following the rules as is written is his main concern. He doesn't care what happens if he follows his rules, but it's written, it has been decided, and it will be followed. So the E kind of a person is the entrepreneur kind of a person who looks forward, who doesn't really see too much in the short run. He sees long run. What's going to happen? What's the future going to bring? And his eyes are trained on the future, and everything about future excites him. What can happen in the future? Those are the things that excite him. And the I is the integrator kind of person, I is a person who kind of needs to take people along. Who believes in the who is saying this, who's involved, who's not involved, how does the group stay together. He's a more person kind of a people kind of a person, and so this is the PAEI concept. And the way each person communicates and what he's trying to say. For example, when a person says yes, when a E says yes, that yes can mean something else. And when A says yes, the yes can mean something else. So it's a very beautiful categorization, and we can read Dr. Adizes' blogs on this. His books are available. Recently, he just conducted one of those major training sessions, and many of us had the fortune to attend it. And just giving you a gist of it, please visit his blogs. It's just great person. So much to learn from him. And this is one framework. But again, if you use this framework in a wrong way, if you know this, and if you want to get your job done, which with a wrong intention, you can still manipulate the person and get the job done. So again, it depends on the intention. Another system during my training that I came across, which I liked, was the PASE system. There is a trainer in America called Tai Lopez. Some like him a lot, some don't, but content that he gave was good. So it's PASE. I give credit to this system to Mr. Tai Lopez for this content on PASE, where he's categorized people under 4 types: P for practical, A for action, S for social, and E for emotional. He says they are the 4 kind of people, and each person has a different communication style, expectation from you, and how you have to communicate to each type is going to be different. So for example, he says a social kind of a person who he will take action once he starts to like you. Liking you is his more important priority. He has to like you before he can engage with you. So you have to approach him with that platform, and you have to give him time. You have to give yourself time to be liked, and you have to approach the relationship like that. Once you know that he's an S kind of a person, majorly tending towards the S. So again, this is a system. So I'm describing these systems because communication is really, we have to box our communication when we come to the practical life in terms of who are we dealing with, what is the situation, what is the intention behind it. All these things are very, very important, and we have to use these things in the right framework. So this is the spectrum of communication that I wanted to talk about. and there are so many other things. This is just gist. There are so many other things that can come in middle of here and there. And so as long as the idea is understood that communication is a spectrum, and the various principles and techniques have to be used in a particular context, and certain things are never to be used, certain things are based on the intention, certain things are outright noble and divine, and as far as possible with people whom we care, whom we love, who we care for, or who we want to care for, non-violent communication, talking to them in a way that is not hurtful, which is empathetic, and resolving the communication in a way that his needs are taken care of and yours too. That's the non-violent communication part. So this was a wrap up, and I hope you like the video. See you soon. Thank you.